all the PI offices in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine.
Detective Rez, I presume?
You've assumed right. What brings you to my door today, Miss?
Talia. But my friends call me Tal. Femme fatale.
A little on the nose, but I'll roll with it. You know, we don't get your kind around these parts.
My kind?
Animated women, I mean. Some folks say you're not even real.
Well, Detective, if I wasn't real, could I do this?
Now wait.
Oh.
Did you just eat my sandwich? Okay, Miss Chow. Now that you've made me lose my lunch, would you mind telling me why you're looking to acquire my services?
I'll cut to the chase. Someone is going around on forums and chats calling me trash tier.
Trash tier? That's quite a disparaging label.
Yes, and I can't have such vile lies about me continue.
If I may, Miss Chow, your fans, the people that know you, they gotta know you're top of the heap in terms of women. Why let one provocateur get under your skin?
Detective! In my line of work, reputation is everything. My fans will stay, but I can't have others associate me with such rumors. Now, do I have your services? Or not?
Keep your lipstick in there, too?
Only on date nights, Detective.
I'll take the case. You may not be real, but your money sure is.
Hey man, you like... Of course you do! What's there not to like? Being transported into a stunningly beautiful, most of the time, world of fun and adventure. You could be a shy nerd meeting a cute, extroverted girl who rips you out of your shell, or be a badass sorcerer who's ready to defend the land he was unwittingly got into, along with his harem of women whose personalities range from spoiled to ditzy to...
And to break this foul curse, I shall have to submit my body to all manner of pornographic acts!
Whatever the f*** that is. And don't you think anime excluding the ladies out there, whether you're a fan of the sapphic or homoerotic, shows about love or loss, or... whatever the f*** that is, anime is something for you. Anime isn't just an art form, it's a medium for all kinds of storytelling, even if it looks like the same show that changes cast's hair color. So yeah, anime is awesome. But what if anime was real? What if there was a way to see the anime world through our own less bulgy eyes? To witness the magic, the action, the plot in our own world? If this sounds like a dream come true for you, then welcome to the world of live action anime.
Here, let me show you.
You saved my ass.
Oh no. So I could go down a video essay rabbit hole and start this video about anime with a long history of Japanese animation, starting with a big f***ing bang, but I'm not gonna. Everyone and their mother has seen Demon Slayer or Death Note or Despicable Me.
I was talking to a guy and I asked him, I was like, oh, which animes do you like? I recently watched Despicable Me 2. It was one of my favorite animes.
So I'm just going to assume we all know how awesome anime is. So then why can't this awesomeness be translated into live action? It's not unheard of for a Western cartoon turned live action to be a horrendous mistake, but there has been a banger or two. Live action anime just hasn't had a Scooby-Doo 2 yet. It's not an absolute rule that there can't be a good one, but when the trend produces a steady flow of memes, I'll say it's pretty concrete. From what I can decipher with my high IQ, there are 3 core reasons why anime is almost impossible to translate to live action. Some of you may be thinking, why would I listen to your opinions on anime when you gave Ava 7 out of 10? Because you're mad that I'm right. Now sit down, pop a Pocky in your mouth, and watch as I shatter your dreams of a live action Komi-san. Animation isn't given enough credit for how limitless of a medium it really is. You're no longer bound to the rules of physics and logic, so reality can become whatever you want. Why settle for the mundanity of the real world when you can watch another world similar to ours but a lot more fun and horny? With animation, you can literally control every molecule of the screen. No Starbucks cups or cowboy pirates allowed, when you can hire a freelance animator to paint every single pebble of your gorgeous isekai setting. They say in film to make every frame a painting, and that's much easier to do when every frame is literally painted, sometimes in the blood, sweat, and tears of MAPPA animators. I don't want to disparage the fine art of cinematography, Creativity still thrives in that department, but I doubt a cameraman could capture every moment like this, especially with those damn unions and their safety codes. Hell, most studios now are taking the right note and just creating their own environments from scratch too. Anime already knew what COVID had to teach the rest of the world, that the outside is overrated. But for some reason, filmmakers still make their environments as uninteresting and dull to look at as real environments. Although the environments can still excel over the lackluster costumes that some adaptations think they can get away with. I swear production designers can create the most gorgeous, eccentric wardrobes and costumes, but tell them it's for a movie based on an anime, and they throw something together that a first-time Otakon cosplayer wouldn't wear. But I can't lay 100% of the blame at their feet, because they somehow have to make the most ridiculous and physics-defying costumes work. From what I can gather about cosplay from sci-fi original shows, I don't think those poor actors can spend months in those tombs of cotton, or with a nip slip at the ready mocking the trigger-happy HR staff. Okay, so anime is hard to adapt because it defies the laws of beauty and physics, but so do most movies. What we really care about is the story of the characters we've grown to love and how they're portrayed. How hard can it be to just slap a human face on your favorite anime character and call it a day? We all know that most anime characters are perfectly sane, high-functioning people that would blend right into our modern society. Haha, no. Another aspect of animation is how you can exaggerate everything to make it more entertaining. This not only includes violence and body proportions, but also the behavior of the characters. You'll find your average anime character to be rather expressive of their feelings, to the point where if someone you knew acted this way, you'd happily have them committed for the safety of themselves and your ears. Cartoon characters can portray overt emotions or admittedly illegal activity because them not being real helps us form a barrier between our standard of reality and their antics. This barrier immediately breaks down when these behaviors are shown in a realistic setting. Have you ever seen those kids in your high school's anime club who seem a bit too enthusiastic about their love of Japanese media? The ones who Naruto run down the hallway or grope each other between classes while wearing cat ears? These kinds of people may be the prime example of how behavior in anime loses some of its magic in the real world. Now I'm the last person on this planet who can cast a stone of cringe on others, but even I can say that this behavior makes me consider burning my Monster Musume Blu-rays. Yeah, I can't imagine a future where we can see anime behavior be translated into live action, and not have people cringe so hard they turn inside out. Alright, so maybe it's impossible for live action movies to properly capture the full magic of anime, but hey, it's called adaptation. So you don't have to match the aesthetic one-to-one, as long as you can create an adaptation that stands on its own while respecting the source material. Can't be that hard, right? Why do I hear boss music? Now, imagine this. You fall in love with a piece of media, whether it be a book, TV show, or video game. Something about it encourages strong emotions of joy and adventure, letting you escape your problems while also maybe letting you find a community of fellow fans. Then it happens, an announcement that this is becoming a movie. Finally a chance to see something you spent years of your life loving on the big screen. This could bring in new fans to your community and have it hit the mainstream so it will be seen as a timeless classic. You buy your ticket, walk into the theater with anticipation, sit down in your chair and prepare for your world to change. And it does, because you've most likely seen the thing that you love being viciously beaten to the concrete while it pleads for you to end its suffering. Yes, we've all been there. At this point, I'm surprised there's not a counseling group specifically for victims of this. To be fair, it would probably be packed with Percy Jackson fans. This phenomenon of bad media adaptations isn't a new thing. Honestly, it's kind of expected at this point. You always see fans of a franchise say that they could adapt it in their sleep and stay loyal to its source material. What these fans often miss is that there's an artistry to adaptation which few can actually achieve, fan or not. Adaptation is a delicate balance. Being a purist of their material pleases fans, but threatens to alienate general audiences, so it doesn't succeed or reach that coveted fresh rating. Making it stand on its own has a better chance of being accepted by general audiences and maybe even fans, but may lose the essence of the source material and have viewers miss the point of what made the original so special in the first place. I want to dissect two adaptations that approach adapting their source material very differently but ultimately still fail. Both just happen to be Netflix adaptations, which I'm sure is a coincidence. The Netflix Death Note film is quite a specimen to study. It uses elements of the original but still seems to want to stand on its own merit as a film. When I say it uses elements of the original, what I mean is the director skimmed through the wiki, wrote down the synopsis, and then said, action. All the characters taken from the anime are either completely different characters with just the same name to identify them, most of them, or overblown caricatures. In the anime, Light is a genius whose cold, calculating exterior firmly masks his psychopathic god complex. In the movie, He's just an emotional and easily manipulated kid who wanted to play the hero. And this movie has the nerve to disrespect my boy L by having him be, ironically, more of a cartoon character. He likes to eat sweets to keep his brain sharp? Well, let's have him inhale candy like he's in Willy Wonka's candy room. He's a bit emotionally stunted and has some autistic traits. Well, obviously he's got to be sung to sleep by his butler and make you wonder if he's hiding neighborhood cats under his floorboards. Don't worry, Lakeith, I don't blame you. Now let's go watch Sorry to Bother You again. Essentially, every character and plot point taken from the anime are completely mishandled, leading it to not even touch what made the original so great in the first place. The saddest part is that Death Note is one of the only anime that could easily work in live action. Anyone who has ever watched Death Note can agree that the main appeal is a cat and mouse game between two people way smarter than us that leaves you in awe of its genius, and sometimes confused. I still have no idea if that Death Note trade worked. The real world setting matched with the grounded characters means that there doesn't need to be a lot of work adapting into a live action style. This means the movie is actually a cinematic marvel for messing up something so easy to adapt. The inclusions of the elements from the anime feel tacked on and worsens an already empty feeling movie. Ryuk looks pretty sick though, so I'm giving this movie a 6 out of 10. It's closer to a 5 than a 7. So it's obvious why Death Note failed. To properly adapt a show, you have to respect the source material and not just messily throw in elements to try and appease a fan base. So is the answer to just have more show accurate characters and content? Luckily, Netflix produced a whole show to answer that question. The latest addition to the live-action anime letterboxd list is the live-action Cowboy Bebop. I have to admit that I'm not as attached to Cowboy Bebop as I am with Death Note, so I can go a bit gentler on this one.
You should be grateful.
One thing that really stands out about the original Cowboy Bebop is its style. It somehow perfectly melds a futuristic setting with western environments and a twang soundtrack to really sell the feeling of following a bunch of broke space outlaws. It's a granddaddy of anime, and you know that by the swaths of fans complaining about how they don't make anime like it anymore, even though they clearly do. But because of its aesthetic and the time period it was made, I can agree that there'll never be another show that will match it, let alone surpass it. An anime like this shouldn't be much of a challenge to adapt either. We already had classic films like Blade Runner, Escape from New York, and Cowboys and Aliens, okay maybe not that one, that show how successful a sci-fi western blend can be. So where does a Netflix show falter? I'm gonna be a bit of a white knight here and say that the show actually started out with a lot of promise. The first scene, while being a bit over the top, was a good way to introduce us to the characters and the world they live in. Spike comes in all suave and ready to kick ass. Jet bursts in telling Spike that he's f***ing up. They succeed in catching their bounty, but had to pay for the chaos that ensued. Classic cowbop. That's what I call it. The costumes are accurate, while also having more of a grounded look. The banter is funny and the action is dynamic. The actors actually seem to play into their characters with genuine effort. The opening, boiled down, is a good representation of the show. It kind of falls off as it goes on, and cracks start to show, like their interpretation of Faye.
Meet Faye Valentine.
Hey, you. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. We got it on the wrong foot. Get over the door.
But it's not what kills it for me. You remember how I gush about Bebop's unique rustic style? Well, the show kept none of it. You can tell this show is anime inspired based off everything about it, but it seems to take inspiration from more modern anime. The brighter cinematography, the fight scenes, more spunky character personalities, and Ed. Bebop never needed to incorporate anime tropes and styles because it was a master of its own style. It's impressive how much they adapted from the show, but what we loved about Cowboy Bebop just isn't there. It's a pretty good show, just not Cowboy Bebop. You can be picky and say it failed because of reasons like John Cho isn't Steve Blum, whose voice sounds like sandpaper being lightly slid across velvet.
Don't move. Pretty slippery the way you change your face around. But you're not slipping out on me.
You're pretty brash. You cheated the whole game and I didn't say a word.
Your boyfriend is sick. He's a small fry. I don't bother with his type.
But it's much deeper than that. The reason for its dismissal was it being too anime for general audiences, but not enough like a source material for fans to gravitate towards. Adaptation is a game of give and take, what you can honor from the source material, and what you can change in a way that helps it stand on its own merit as a film. It needs to have the essence of the source material, or else why adapt it at all? Cowboy Bebop shows were close, but just can't cross that finish line, at least here in the States. Japan seems to have a better track record adapting their series. You could just say, well, they created the source material so they know how to adapt it better, but it doesn't excuse our own failings, and even Japan has had some blunders. Like most problems that affect the world, America excels at making it worse. Now, why is that? Like it or not, anime has hit the big time. When an anime film can make nearly $500 million, and anime conventions can pop up everywhere and not be considered an act of war, it's safe to say that anime has been accepted by the general public. Sure, shonen and the occasional hype movie still dominate the popular consciousness, but now I can proudly say that I watch and love K-On! And not fear for my lunch money. Thanks to social media and celebrities coming out of the otaku closet, people are now able to encounter some good anime recommendations nowadays. Anime is also now easier to access than ever before, because of streaming sites catching on to this craze and actually giving us some quality shows. Mostly. And with any new craze, there are going to be people who want to capitalize on it. And no entity in this world tries to capitalize on things we love more than good old Hollywood. If you love something, be sure Hollywood will snatch it from you and sell it back for your viewing pleasure, with varying degrees of success. The thing about Hollywood is, even though it's full of artists wanting to make the world a better place through the medium of cinema, at the top are the people who reap the rewards from these artists. Not gonna go full Hassan, but I think it's obvious that most of the box office for Avengers Endgame wasn't given to craft services. So Hollywood, for some, is a place to make sweet dinero. So when these execs see people spending their hard-earned money in Hot Topic buying Demon Slayer belts, they of course want a piece of the action. The thing is, just because something becomes mainstream, doesn't mean the all-knowing Hollywood moneymakers know why it's become so. Do people love Demon Slayer for the themes of family and overcoming limitations through belief in hard work? Or the funny Pigman? Do they love Jujutsu Kaisen for the brilliantly paced plot and interesting battle mechanics? Or this motherfucker's eyes? The answer is both. I'm not saying that only real fans can appreciate the artistry behind a franchise, but when you're only interested in an anime for monetary reasons, it's doubtful that you're interested in honoring your source material at all. Hell, video games are arguably at the peak of their popularity, and we still suffer movie to movie hoping Sonic won't be the gold standard. However, a benefit to this mainstream status is that the nerds of Hollywood are freer to share their love of anime and not get thrown out of pitch meetings when they say they want to make a movie based on some niche franchise. This proves Hollywood isn't totally devoid of integrity and genuine love, but if you notice, a lot of their successes are from source material homegrown in the States, and the UK, but that's just America pre-1776 patch. The failure of adapting overseas material isn't from lack of trying, mind you. America is founded on seeing something cool from other cultures and burning it to the ground so it can sell the ashes. It's easier to adapt the work of people whose culture reflects your own. It's also because art is a byproduct of the culture itself. It's easier for us to identify with the art produced within our own culture because we've seen it so many times that we're kind of numb to some questionable tropes. Superhero movies are all over the place today while breaking box office records, and they're not what I call realistic. The only real difference between a lot of anime and superhero media is the lack of upskirts, which I personally believe would have made Endgame an extra $2 billion. However, we've acclimated to the weirdness of our superheroes because comic books and media based on them have been around for decades. Culture has evolved with them, and they've evolved with the culture, so there's plenty of opportunity for acclimation. Don't go commit seppuku yet, there's still hope for us. Movies like The Matrix and Kill Bill can be seen as better representations of the medium than a lot of actual anime adaptations. You can't get more anime than one person soloing thousands of grunts with ease. Look at this shit and tell me it's not anime. Speaking of the Wachowskis, Speed Racer seems to be the closest we had to American directors actually translating an anime. It's not like the anime was much of a tour de force.
He's going over that cliff!
But an anime is still an anime. They clearly have a passion for the project and amped it up to f***ing 11. Seriously, if you haven't seen this movie, I highly suggest it. Especially if you love nuts to bust insanity in your movies. I'm not gonna say for sure the gatekeepers are right to defend their precious series from normie eyes, because we have some clear examples of how it can be done. We might have to accept they'll never get a one-to-one adaptation, but isn't that a good thing? I think there's a happy medium between lazily stuffing in source material and being cringely accurate. Localization is the answer to this conundrum. Do you remember the dark, early days of anime in the West when dub sounded like this?
Ah! It's Big Green!
Let that child alone.
Is it okay for me to wear my shoes in here?
I don't give a shit.
Love, smile on me, for I cannot endure such suffering, such sweet sorrow. Yes, I would stoop to becoming a pirate.
Nowadays, despite the vitriol behind their existence, dubs have become better than ever. The voice actors now have freedom to give their characters much more personality instead of just speaking the lines in English. They're still capturing the spirit of the original dialogue, just making it more digestible and familiar to Western audiences. Hell, for dubs like Kaguya-sama and My Chest of Darling, I'll watch the dub and the sub. Since they're both so distinct yet similar, it's almost like I'm experiencing the show twice.
She's a repulsive, cancerous growth upon our world.
Would you like to come with us too, Kaguya?
Why have I been given this overly convenient chance to be a scumbag?
How am I supposed to instinctively know where your nipples are?
Oh, baby, I gotta get that in my mouth.
This style can help live-action adaptations too. Did you know that Edge of Tomorrow starring the glorious Tom Cruise was based off a manga? I can't say it's a faithful adaptation of the source material, but it's definitely a good standard for localization. It was also a good call to localize a name because I don't think the original would really grab Western audiences. Or maybe it would. I don't know, there are worse titles out there, I guess. So can anime really be translated into live action? Now that I'm near the end of this script, I find myself split on it. On one hand, I can recognize that the visual elements and charm of anime is lost when you put it into a real life setting. But on the other, people are gonna like what they're gonna like, so I can't say definitively that any past, current, or future adaptations are objectively garbage, especially since there are examples that I enjoy myself. I think that if we want anime to become the juggernaut that it can be, we have to let people take their shots at making it in unique ways. Diversity brings new life into art, whether the results are fantastic or hilarious, because honestly, even a bad adaptation is worth your time to roast to oblivion. God knows YouTube thinks so. I don't believe we'll ever reach a Marvel level anime movie boom, but I don't want to see people stop trying. The fact that a series we love that we thought we had to hide from the world are being shown some recognition has to give us some sort of comfort, right? What's important is that anime has become something that the jocks and the weebs can sit at the table and talk about. Anime is the last geeky media that seems to have hit the mainstream in a way that there's no shame in loving it. Except if you watch Oraimo, then we're allowed to exile you. In summation, do I think the live action One Piece is going to be good? Of course, One Piece goated, everything it touches is perfect, bye.